Observer is a Polish first-person horror/adventure game from 2017. Its cyberpunk bona fides are on full display in the use of Rutger Hauer of Blade Runner fame in the role of the protagonist. But unlike other attempts in recent years to revitalize cyberpunk as a genre of video games, Observer does more than variations on the same old theme. Cyberpunk as a genre is having a bit of a renaissance in the late 2010s. The subgenre of science fiction that more or less originated with William Gibson's Neuromancer in the year 1984. The novel by George Orwell with that title, 1984, also proved seminal as an early influence, 4 decades ahead of time. As you probably know, cyberpunk typically adapts anti-corporate themes. Typically, stories are set in a high-tech, low-life, neon dystopian near future. And of course, cyberpunk is also known for drawing heavily from the mid-century American cinematic genre called film noir. All these necessary genre demarcators are present in Observer. You play as Daniel Lazarski in a dystopian version of Poland decimated by war, as well as something called the nanophage. It's a besieged city frozen in a permanent state of emergency. Observers are those secret policemen such as yourself with the authority to more or less hack into a civilian's mind. This is possible due to the big underlying conceit of the Observer, the merging together of man with machine. Observer, in the style of your typical film noir, is a detect-em-up. Most of the game you're wandering around a rundown apartment complex, on a private investigation as to the whereabouts of Adam, your estranged and only son. But for the less common other sections in Observer, you're put in horror game scenarios after stepping into a suspect's, usually recently deceased suspect's, mind. And these are where the game's unique horror qualities really shine. Observer, in the tradition of Amnesia: The Dark Descent, tries to put you in your character's head, using a lot of visual hallucinatory effects and distortions. At any given time, for example, Lazarski can take his Observer-mandated medication. This introduces visual phenomena like blurred and double vision, yet it stabilizes your state of mind, supposedly. Entering a suspect's head ramps up the firework display considerably. Observer deserves credit for attempting to synthesize genres into something new, besides simply cyberpunk alone. It's not just cyberpunk. Observer marries the genre with surrealism, body horror, and psychological expressionism. The result is deeply European. The game's Polish developers put their own signature spin on the genre, resulting in another masterpiece on a long line of cinematic and literary Polish reflections in the post-war, or in this case, post-post-war era. Like the 1954 cinematic masterpiece Ashes and Diamonds, Observer strongly roots itself in the Polish 20th century experience. However, the game's other focus is on technology and its impact on the human subject in the 21st century. In this regard, much of the post-war material seems almost metaphorical. The Observer seems to say, "We've lived through this once, and now it may be happening again." With its fantastic storyline, Observer also includes compelling detective-centric controls. To express its conceits about humanity's future, Lazarski, yourself, is something of a man-machine hybrid, a cyborg. One bumper enables your organic sensor, while the other one's more tech-sensitive. Both supposedly distinct modes, the blood and the bits, so to speak, are accessible by the same central processing being, you. But this doesn't mean you'll find answers right away. Another important aspect of being an Observer isn't just forensic analysis, but good old-fashioned police questioning. Any of the many apartment doors can be knocked on, which unlocks not only main story content, but a number of side quests and world-building sequences as well. Ultimately, Observer is a fantastic cyberpunk game with strong art horror elements. It's been overlooked, arguably, in the deluge of great games recently. Try it out for a compelling take on the burgeoning cyberpunk revival.